I don't hear anything.
That's because you lied.
Oh, left a little bit, brother.
Big Low, you're on, baby.
Can anybody hear me? Is this it?
Yes. There you go.
All right, here we go. All right. Good evening, viewers and listeners. We are live. And finally, it is time. All right. It is their time, which makes it our time. And of course, that means it's draft time. Welcome to the 2022 NFL Draft Bible pre-draft show powered by Sports Illustrated. As you guys can see, viewers and listeners, I have the esteemed panel dripping with talent. I got the leadership here from the NFL Draft Bible. I got my man, the boss man, RIC in the building, Rick in the building. What's going on, Big Rick?
Hey, man, I'm just happy to be here. 20 years still standing through all the blood, sweat, and tears, man. We're an hour from the 2022 NFL Draft. Oh, baby, keep it locked, can't stop, won't stop. We're going around the clock, baby. We got you covered front to back, east to coast, west coast, worldwide, spread love. Some I can go all day, baby.
That's right, that's right. And then, of course, we got the man, Zach Palstra in the building. What's going on, Zach?
What's up, guys? I'm happy to be here covering the draft again this year. It's gonna be an interesting draft, so I can't wait. I can't wait to get to it. Let's go.
That's right, that's right. Then, of course, we also have the lead scout. I mean, I'm in rare air right now. You know, I'm here with the president, the vice president, and I'm here with the lead scout. I'm just the host, everybody. I'm just trying to keep them all in the same room together, in a chat room, that is, video room. So, Lorenz, how are you doing, man?
I'm excited. I'm buzzing, man. It's late at night out here in Germany, but this is the best time of the year. 3 days of the draft. It's like Christmas. I've been thinking about it all day, been thinking, hey, how's all this going to shake out and what's going to happen? It's so unpredictable this year. And every time I go through a top 5, I'm like, no, I got to do this over, right? It's because I think something else. It's just exciting. I'm super fired up for it. I can't wait. This is a draft that truly starts at number 1 overall, and yeah, it's one of those where it's just unpredictable, and it's going to be a ton of fun to watch today.
Well, as you can tell, I mean, we're all pumped, we're all psyched. This is the reason why we're here. This is our namesake. We're the NFL Draft Bible, okay? And over 20 years, we've been doing this thing. All right, started with the man in the bottom left corner, my man Rick Sertella, and I can tell you that this is a draft that I think we're going to talk about here that is very unpredictable, and it's been a very long time where we really don't know who's going to go number 1. But we do have some things to talk about. We got about 5 or 6 topics that we're going to jump into, and we're going to have these specialists really give their in-depth perception of what they feel is going to go on in this draft. But first, let's just go ahead and jump into these subjects, guys. So, first time ever, the NFL draft is in Vegas. Of course, the NFL went head first, feet first, whole body first, belly flopped right into Las Vegas. And Las Vegas is off the charts, okay? And we got a backstory about Las Vegas. We almost had it there. We're going to get there. We're going to do some different things because they're going to have to bring it back to Vegas because it looks grandiose and really cool out there as I watch it in the publications. But I got to get all of your opinions. What do you guys think? How do you feel, watching what they're doing in Las Vegas? I mean, it's sunny. Everybody's dressed up. It's beautiful. The hotels, the casinos, everything that's rocking. Let me come to you, Zach. Talk to me, man. How do you feel about the draft being in Las Vegas for the first time?
I love it, man. I mean, it looks like a party out there. That's what Vegas is a giant party. The NFL is it's all about show, right? It's entertainment. Vegas is all about entertainment. It looks amazing. The weather looks beautiful. I'm sitting here looking out my window. It's cloudy and cold here in Minnesota. I love it, man. I would love to see how Vegas more years of this Vegas draft. It looks amazing out there.
I'm telling you, man, every time I look up and I see, somebody at a different part of Vegas, whether they're by the Gold Nugget or whether they're by the Mandalay Bay, which is where I was last year. It was just amazing. And I know they shut down the main road there that's going to the stadium, and they kind of turned into like a huge tailgate. They kind of call it their beer garden kind of a thing. They have a really cool setup out there. If you ever had a chance to get out there to check out what they're doing with the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders in Vegas, it's amazing. So let me come to you, Lorenz. How do you feel about the draft being in Vegas for the first time, 2022?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, the show they're putting on already, Vegas, look, it's one of the premier cities in the United States, one of the greatest cities in the world to have any sort of event. And therefore, the NFL draft, which is my favorite event in the world, should obviously be there and should be there a bunch of hopefully for many more years to come every once in a while. I know they're going to have it rotating around, but like I said, it's one of the greatest cities. I had the pleasure to be there a couple of years ago when I was like 16, so I got to go back now that I'm 21. But we'll get all that figured out. It was a lot of fun. I think the weather looks incredible right now, and it's a great experience for those players as well. I honestly, frankly, I couldn't think of a better place to have the NFL draft, to have a show like that than Las Vegas. I mean, come on, maybe Los Angeles, but that's it really.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, Vegas is a spot to be. Whenever they do the large boxing matches, MMA matches, of course, this is, in my opinion, this is bigger, than all of that, because this is a multi-billion-dollar company, the NFL, putting on a huge product, in pretty much one of the biggest party cities in the world. So it's going to be exciting. And I'm going to come to you, Rick. Me and Zach, in our pre-show meeting was talking, and we're going to have to get with you because after all this is over, we get to let our hair down, and we got to pick a destination after every draft to go to together and somewhere sunny, okay, and hang out, because this is a town we got to exhale after this weekend. So I'm going to come to you now. Where and what do you think the 2002, what do you think of it being in Vegas?
Well, I'm glad I get to exhale and put my hair down here at the Jersey Shore. No better place to be, in my opinion. And I will say, I got mixed emotions about the draft being in Las Vegas. Obviously, as someone who frequented the draft, this is our first year of the NFL Draft Bible organization not being out in Las Vegas for the NFL draft, because really the cost of doing business didn't really make sense. And, once it moved out of New York City, is it good for the fans? Absolutely. I mean, the NFL draft in New York City was just another event. Maybe if you walked around Radio City, you might see a little signage and be somewhat aware that something was going on. But New York City was clueless that the NFL draft was happening. There was so much other stuff happening. So from a fan perspective, it was great. From a media coverage standpoint, I mean, if you're not NFL Network or ESPN, you basically get zero access to much of anything. So it's pointless for any other media to be out there. And it's a shame that it went that direction. I understand why they did it. It's moved to prime time, which, we're airing the draft on Thursday night. I mean, I'd never seen it coming, but hey, this business evolves. It moves fast, and you got to keep up with the Joneses or you get lost in the dust. So, hey, buckle up. Double chin strap affair. Looks like fun. We'll see. I'm just hoping somebody gives Godell that chest bump, boom, right into that Bellagio pool, baby.
Absolutely. Well, you figure, with the draft being out there and, just the opportunity to, to see exactly what they have planned. They were talking about having the draft picks come up in gondolas, up to the stage or whatever. I don't know. But, they're going to have to do it some kind of grandiose way so that it's memorable. So, I'm looking forward to all of it. And, this will be an unexpected draft, indeed, in my opinion. So I'm going to come back to you, Lorenz. What kind of draft are we expecting? To me, it just looks like it is so unpredictable right now. It's something that usually the first one or two picks already has a contract complete, So what kind of draft are we expecting this time around, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean the Jaguars, I think, have done a solid job with after they've been advised by the NFL to obviously not make the pick public or not leak it yet. I think Vegas might be onto it, but the people that want to check out the lines, they sure can. But even at the second pick, there's intrigue. There we're not 100% sure who it's going to be. At the third pick, I think it could go a bunch of different directions. And then all of that has implications for who teams like. Which players are they going to be on the board at that spot? I think if all three tackles are gone at number 6 for the Carolina Panthers, which is a real possibility, all three of the top, where are they going to go? I mean, every single mock draft had them taking a tackle, but what if they're all gone? I mean, there's a bunch of unpredictable factors in this whole draft. We got no idea where the quarterbacks are going to go, who actually likes any of the top quarterbacks. Is someone going to jump up into the top 10? Are we going to have a top 10, top 15 without a quarterback, right? There's intrigue at a bunch of picks. There are players that are potential that are dubbed to be stars that we on the film study think are great, that NFL teams are a little bit lower on, might slide. Who's going to take the shot there? I mean, it is just it's just really exciting. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see who's aggressive, which teams are going to be aggressive, who's moving up, who's moving down. There's a lot of intrigue about trades. We have so many teams with 2 first-round picks. They could be looking to wheel and deal. We just talked earlier on State of Football to Eagles reporter Ed Kratz about Howie Roseman. I mean, given Howie Rose with 2 first-round picks, you got to expect some kind of big move, right? And that's just one of the teams that could be shuffling around the board. So it's super exciting. I don't think I'm overstating. I think a couple of people are down on this draft because it's not the big quarterback draft, but to me, it's still really exciting. And hey, it's still going to shape these franchises. The decisions they're going to make is going to affect these teams and affect these franchises for years, even if there's not the 3-4 star quarterbacks this year. Still think it's a deep class. There's a lot of talent, and it's going to make it really interesting.
Well, I remember this time last year, and we kind of already had our draft board set. And I had asked you next year, which is this year. I said, who's the number 1 pick next year? You gave me Evan Neal. And he was kind of like the consensus number 1 pick all the way until the bowl season, and then it just kind of broke open, so and he looks like he's falling, from what everybody thought he was going to be. But yeah, it's very interesting in what's going to go on, and how this is going to fall out. Let me come to you, Zach. Let me ask you, what kind of draft are you expecting?
I'm expecting an unpredictable one, man. I don't think I know what's going to happen at all. I think we know the first overall pick and maybe the second and the third, but I think it's just going to be nuts. It's going to be exciting. I think once you get to around pick 10 and beyond, I think there's going to be a lot of trades that happen. I think a lot of surprise picks are going to happen. Guys are going to start falling. Guys are going to start getting taken earlier than expected. I mean, it's just going to be all over the place, and death, taxes, and the draft being unpredictable. I think that's exactly what you can count on. And this is going to be the most unpredictable draft that you're going to see in a long time. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. And what I'm excited about, actually, I'm excited about it. I should say that, is that we're going to have so much content going up on the site with all these surprise picks that are going to happen and trades that could happen and all this stuff like that. So we're going to have a lot of instant reaction articles coming up on the site, si.com/NFL/draft. A lot of great stuff there. So make sure you check that out because it's all day, every day coming up here.
Great plug, brother. And I'm telling you about the draft. You were talking about the picks and all of the trading. There's 8 teams that have 2 draft picks in the first round. I mean, they're setting up, to either move out of the first round or, trade up in the first round. Who knows, what they're gonna do with all those draft picks, but somebody's they're loading up for a big shot, either going up or trying to move back to acquire more picks. Let me come to you with the same question, boss man. What kind of draft are you expecting?
Yeah, no doubt. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fast. It's going to be a lot of trades with these young GMs, a lot of teams that do want to move up. Surprisingly, not for quarterbacks, but probably more for cornerbacks. I think it's deep in corners. They're going to come off the board early. Edge rushers is another position teams will want to move up for. Offensive tackle, Lorenz mentioned, hey, what if there's all 3 tackles off the board by the time the Panthers come on the clock? Well, that means a pretty good player slipped, whether that's Sauce Gardner or Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm excited to see where Thibodeau lands. There's just so much speculation around that young man. And to me, I've been doing this a long time. I would say Malik Willis is one of the most polarizing and maybe the biggest boom or bust quarterback I've ever seen in 20 years of evaluation. This young man has all the tools in the toolbox. You go watch the Liberty film. Some of it is cringeworthy against the top caliber competition. Go see Ole Miss. And then some of the plays are just like, wow, there's only a handful of people on the planet that can do that, right? And so I do think, like, in the right system with the right coach, like, there's a lot of ifs in that equation. But I think this young man could really be in for a organizational turnaround, whoever rolls the dice. And I don't know if it's the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if it's the Seattle Seahawks. Is it going to be the New Orleans Saints? Maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers. But to me, Malik Willis, I mean, this guy's a lightning rod.
Yes, he is a lightning rod. If you do recall, I went there, did a little work for the NFL Draft Bible, and my guy Jimmy Jerkin went down there and did a little agent work and checked on a few players out there, and also scouted Malik as well. And he put on a show. I seen him. Covering UVA, they played. Liberty and UVA would always play each other, and I could see him in the press box, but I really didn't get too close to him. But when you see him, he's actually very thick. He's built like a linebacker, honestly. When I look at him, he's built like a kind of like a speed linebacker. And he's very strong. In all of his movements. So I don't know. I mean, you're definitely right with the boom or bust thing. But I don't even know, where to go next. But I think.
Well, to that point, though, right? Because, like, I believe, like, Willis and Matt Corral are like the same size dimensions. But I look at Corral and I wonder about that frame. It's kind of a little bit skinny, but like they're the same, almost identical height and weight. And like Willis, I feel good about being able to withstand a 20-game NFL season. Corral, not so much.
Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of like Jake Plummerish to me. His frame. Even his style of play a little bit as well. But yeah, Malik, I just stand there next to him. I was like, man, that guy's kind of, he's a lot bigger than I thought. But like you said, we'll see where he goes. Very polarizing, and it could be, the first draft since 2013. Where we had where we will have or possibly have a quarterback fall out of the top 10. Last time that happened was E.J. Manuel, 2013, got drafted number 16 by the Buffalo Bills. And, it didn't go that well, for his career at Buffalo, but believe me, that's on a lot of people's minds, and we'll see, where he winds up going. So talking about this weak quarterback class, as some of the scouts have said, let me get your opinion on this, Zach. The weak quarterback class, are there really some sleepers there that some people, there always is, some players who don't get all the hoopla but wound up being, a good quarterback or a good player down the road? Is there a quarterback in your mind that you think is going to be better than what a lot of people are saying? Because this has been pretty much one of the worst quarterback classes to date.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best quarterback class, but I still think there's some quality players there. I don't think they're, going to be like top 20 quarterbacks. I don't think there's going to be a guy that's even going to be in the conversation as rookie of the year, to be honest with you, when it comes to the quarterback class. I think you're going to get, one of the receivers or cornerbacks or whatever. I don't think you're going to see a quarterback win a rookie of the year title this year. I think it's going to be someone that, these guys are just going to have to develop and learn the system, learn the game of the NFL, get the speed down a little bit more. So you're not going to see them produce right away. I do think there's some good qualities to these guys. I like a guy like Kenny Pickett. He's my top quarterback off the board. I think a guy like Desmond Ridder is going to be very interesting to watch to see where he goes. A spot that I like him at would be like a spot like Tampa Bay, where you sit behind Tom Brady, learn a little bit. I still think the first round for these quarterbacks is rich. if I'm a GM, I'm not taking a quarterback in the first round in this class. I'm going to wait till the second and third round, see who's there. But a guy I like EJ Perry out of Brown. Ivy School kid. I think he's a solid player. He's got a decent arm. I do think there's some good intangibles with him. Where again, you let him sit for 2 or 3 years, let him get that speed of the NFL down. I do think he's someone that could at least be a serviceable backup. Someone that can come in with when there's an injury and you can plug him in for a couple games. So I think a guy like EJ Perry, I'm looking at him to see where he lands and where he goes, and just see how he develops throughout the further years in the NFL.
All right, great analysis there. Now let me ask you, Lorenz, the same question. What do you expect from this supposedly weak quarterback class this year in the NFL draft?
Yeah, I think all the guys, whether it's through the guys that are expected to go in the first round, they all have question marks. They all carry question marks with them, and I think substantial ones, not just small things, not necessarily things where you would say, hey, that's an easy coaching fix, right? For example, if we look at a guy like Malik Willis, who could be the top overall, or is likely to be the first one drafted, right? If I'm in a war room trying to make the argument for Malik Willis, I'm not going to the game film, right? That's a concern. I'm going to look how good of a leader this guy is. Look how good of a person this guy is. Look how hard he works. Look how good his frame is. Look how big his arm is, right? But I'm not going to let's break down this game film. Like, are there flashes on film? Absolutely, but he's got a lot of things to work on. I think he needs a stable environment. He needs to sit for a year or two. He needs a stable environment in terms of offensive coordinators, in terms of quarterback coaches, and then kind of wait and see from there. He's sort of Josh Allen coming out, but even ramped up a little bit more in that you have the size and in a different way, obviously, but you have a lot of the intangible qualities and the huge arm. Now you got to put everything else together. At the end of the day in the NFL, you win with your decision making as a quarterback. That's what's got to happen for him. Someone that's intriguing to me is Nevada's Carson Strong. I know he had a big knee issue that's kind of kept him out of the conversation of being a potential second-round quarterback. Probably going to be a third, fourth-round pick. I've heard from a couple people that his medicals actually came back better than expected. Now, whatever that's going to mean, I don't know. How bad did people expect it to be? But I think he's going to get picked up. Not tonight, but he's someone who, to me, if you're just watching him run an offense at Nevada, making decisions and playing from within the pocket, I think he's got a lot of things to like. Now that knee is still a question mark. Obviously, we'll see how many teams or how early teams value him. But he could be one of these old school, maybe a long-term backup, maybe that replacement level type starter that you're never quite happy with, that you're always looking to replace. But hey, we've seen these guys stick around. There's not 32 superstar quarterbacks in the world, so I'm holding out some hope for Carson Strong there. I like his intangibles, I like his accuracy, and I like his arm.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. When we talk about, mobile quarterbacks to traditional drop back guys, it always seems like the traditional drop back guys are still making it happen. Now, shout out to all of our guys and gals in the chat room. I got some questions, particularly aimed at you, Zach. Dale Miller is asking, are the Vikes taking a QB?
I don't see them taking a QB. Maybe they take a shot on one on day 3, but I don't see them taking any first. That's for sure. I don't see them taking one in the second or third round either. So maybe day 3, you can see a guy like maybe Cole Kelly or something like that out of southeastern Louisiana. But you're not gonna see them take a quarterback early. I know the new coaching regime. They love what they see in Kirk Cousins. I know they want to work with him. They're going to give him another couple years at least. Then they drafted Kellen Mond last year, so they're going to see what they got in him potentially as well. I don't think they have their forever long-term answer at quarterback for the Vikings, but we'll see. I don't think they take one of these top quarterbacks though.
Absolutely. Thanks for Craig Smith in there adding some comic relief in the chat room. Also, Temple of the Hut had another question. I'm gonna shoot this one to you, Lorenz. Who do you think takes a running back in the first? And that'll segue us into our next question.
Maybe the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that's the one team that I could see maybe going. I mean, the top guy is Breece Hall. Whoever you ask, that's the top running back in the class, right? So at 25, I think there's a chance of him going there, depending on who else is on the board for the Bills. Couple of other teams that could be looking at running back early second round. I think the Falcons have a bunch of needs, but they could be looking to get a long term fill in at the spot. Seattle Seahawks are going to be drafting up there as well in that round. So I don't know. I think there's a slim chance of one going in the first, but on the second day, I think it won't take too long for a guy like Breece Hall to come off the board. Maybe even with a trade. We saw it last year with the Denver Broncos moving up for Javonte Williams, who fell out of the first round. They moved up and snatched him up real quick, and to me, got their lead runner of the future, and that's the type of impact that Breece Hall can have.
I'm going to stay here and keep it with you with this question. You know, we just talked about running backs, and in the pre-show meeting as well, and we were talking about surprise first-round picks. And I know running back was something that came up. Now, talk to me about this, Lorenz. Surprise first-round picks. And just give me a couple nuggets.
All right.
We'll save some for the show tomorrow, but for the next round. But this is the first round. Who's gonna sneak up in there and get into the first round?
So keep an eye out for Tyler Smith, the offensive lineman. Some teams see him as a guard, some teams see him as a tackle. I think he's going to start out at guard, and then you eventually might move him out to tackle. He's got great physical traits out of Tulsa. Declared early as a junior. There was a bunch of back and forth. Is he going to come out? Is he going to stay in school? I remember during the deadline that made a sort of last-minute judgment that he's going to be in the draft. I like him at 26 to the Tennessee Titans. I've seen him linked there a couple times. I think that's potentially his best landing spot. They're looking to bolster that offensive line. That offense goes as far as Derrick Henry goes. So they're going to look to give him some help. Another guy, look at USC's Drake Jackson. This is a former 5-star recruit who had his weight fluctuate up and down at USC. Really didn't look super comfortable at the lower weight that he was playing at. I think is up a little bit now. He's a gifted athlete. He's very agile off the edge. I know there's a bunch of really good edge defenders and pass rushers in this draft, but hey, it only takes one team, and Drake Jackson has the type of traits to convince one team to go to go up and get him. And then one more, you just talked about Breece Hall, but David Ojabo, just keeping it with the edge rushers out of Michigan, originally from Scotland, has roots from Nigeria, super interesting prospect. He got convinced pretty late. He was a basketball guy, got convinced to play football, and you really saw him this year on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson take a step every single week of his college football season, was uber productive. He's a big-time athlete. I think would have been a first-round pick. Would not have been a surprise first-round pick, but would have been a lock first-round pick. Then he tore his Achilles. We saw the pictures. It was at his pro day, a really rough injury. But maybe there's a team that still says, hey, this guy, we're still going to take him in the first round. We might give him the medical red shirt, or he might have to sit out half the season, but we just can't pass up on that type of raw talent. We've seen it every so often at the edge rusher position. If you have physical traits, if you have athleticism, these coaches can figure out the rest. So I think the ceiling is sky high for a guy like David Ojabo. And hey, there could be a couple of teams at the back end of that first round, maybe even via trade, to come back into the first round and secure him.
Does Ojabo have a higher ceiling than Kwity Paye?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think Kwity Paye had a pretty high ceiling, but marginally, I think his speed rush upside is a little bit higher, and he's more of that outside linebacker, stand-up rusher type. I think Kwity Paye did a little more as a hand in the dirt, true defensive end. So it kind of depends on what you're looking at. But yeah, I think overall his athleticism. I mean, how light he is on his feet. You usually see that from defensive backs, but here's a guy at 240 playing edge, rushing off the edge. And if you watch his film, he was just too athletic for tackles, even if his moves weren't super refined. These college tackles, he was just too athletic for them to mirror and to stay in front of him.
And look at Lorenz, as always, dropping jewels. You know what I mean? He just can't help himself. he just keeps dropping these jewels, you know. So let me come to you, RIC, with the same question. Surprise first round picks, in your opinion, of this for this draft.
Yeah, I spoke to Dave Aranda at length at the Maxwell Club, and I asked him about Jalen Petrie. He probably gave me about a 10-minute response. I mean, he just could not talk enough about his versatility, his coverage ability, his in-the-box ability, his leadership. I mean, you've got a prestige character off the field, a top talent on the field, great size, unbelievable measurables. I don't think Jalen Petrie gets enough credit from the mainstream media. And I'll give you a dark horse candidate. I mean, this Tariq Woolen out of UTSA, man. I mean, if you don't get Sauce Gardner, this guy's the next best thing. I mean, he's 6'3". He runs like a 4.3 something. He's got press man coverage skills. Like Tariq Woolen, to me, I see cornerbacks coming off the board fast and furious and early and often. I think there's a team in the back end of the first round hanging out that's going to maybe it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, hey, let me take Tariq Woolen and line him up opposite of L'Jarius Sneed. And maybe we got something here. So somebody asking about how Russell Wilson's going to be with the Broncos. He's going to be awesome. And it's going to be competitive. And that AFC West is going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. And to me, Tariq Woolen is a guy that he can play on the island now. So buckle up.
Buckle up for sure. Double chin strap. Buckle up, baby. He's going to crack a helmet today. Let me ask you this, man. I'm coming right back to you, Rick. Who's most likely, this is coming from Temple of the Hut in the chat room, who's most likely is going to be the team to trade down?
Well, and I want to know if Craig T. Smith remembers the West Virginia fullback. Maybe 15 years ago, he used to break his face masks all the time.
He used to bleed too, like a
yeah. The West Virginia fullback. See if Craig T. Smith can pull it out of a hat. But teams trading down. I'm hearing that the Texans want to trade up aggressively with their second pick, and they're going to have to move up to do that somewhere into the top 10. And I think the Giants with 2 first-round picks would love to move back. To me, Charles Cross is their guy at 5. They brought him in a few weeks ago for a private workout, put him through a battery of drills at right tackle, and just fell in love. And I think chances are Sauce Gardner, who they would love at 7, probably off the board, right? And he would be the natural replacement for James Bradberry, who could get cut or dealt today. Listen, Joe Shane wants to trade everybody. He don't care if it's James Bradberry, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton. They're all on the block. Oh, by the way, Daniel Jones, go prove it to me. So I think the Giants are going to be looking to wheel and deal. I think the Texans are going to be looking to move up. The other rumor I keep hearing, Deebo Samuel to the Jets, gaining a lot of steam. It was on again, off again. Now I'm hearing it might be on again. I would love to see where Deebo Samuel lands this draft. The 49ers, from what I understand, have already had several offers, including first round but with what Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill commanded on the open market and the trade market, I think the 49ers are going to hold out for something more. And does a team pull the trigger? We shall see.
So, Big Law, can I chime in on that real quick? Because that's a really interesting point you bring up, Rick. From how I understand the situation, is that the 49ers, probably from a value perspective, if they're really convinced on that they can't convince Deebo Samuel to play in their jersey again, now's the best value that they're going to get. I think the 10th pick from the New York Jets is on the table, plus something else. Thing is, Deebo Samuel, before he agrees to a trade, wants to have the deal done, and then the teams they have to run through the physical. They have to do all that, right? Is all that going to happen tonight? I just think the time frame. I think Deebo Samuel made this move too late to get dealt now for this year's draft picks. It's probably going to be for something in the 2023 draft, because there's just not enough time to get all the things.
Unless the deal is made pending physical. There's been deals made pending physical, right?
Unless they, in the background, the last 2-3 days, however long this has been going on, they have been able to make a deal, which hats off to the agents and to the Jets organization, if it is the Jets, to figure all that out so quickly, because they were operating a couple days ahead of the draft with this trade request. Suddenly, 49ers not really willing to deal him. Now they might be finding out, hey, if we don't deal him now, we're not getting any better value for Deebo Samuel if we can't keep him than right now. So I think if they want to move off him, now's the best time to do it. So super interesting situation. I'm not expecting it. But that, I mean, yeah, like I said, that would be a crazy move if one of the premier playmakers in the NFL or another one of the premier playmakers in the NFL gets dealt ahead of this draft or during this draft even.
Well, you figure this is, a crazy trade season going on. They're getting king's ransoms for these receivers nowadays. I mean, a position that's solely dependent on someone for their success, to get them the ball. And what teams are giving up to get some of these playmakers just proves to you how much of a passing league this really is, and how much you have to have a playmaker. And you're talking about,
Well, let's not forget Robert Saleh, the former defensive coordinator at the San Francisco, knows very well how hard it is to stop a Deebo Samuel. So he's on speed dial over there.
Ain't no doubt about it. He used to have to go against him in practice all the time before he went over to the Jets. We talked about a team possibly looking to trade down now. If there's a QB or the QB slide out of the top 10, look for Washington to jump back. Look for Pittsburgh or New Orleans to come up to jump ahead of those other teams that maybe want to get ahead of those teams that are in the teams that may try to get a quarterback or try to trade up into the teams to get one of those quarterbacks. Look for Washington to possibly jump back. They only got 6 picks this year, so I got my eye on that. Let me come to you with that question too, Zach. Surprise first round picks.
Yeah, so going back to that question, these guys talked a lot about my guys that are surprise first round picks. I love Tariq Woolen. I love David Ajabo. Both those guys they're really raw, but there's a high ceiling for both those guys. Ajabo, we were talking about him as a potential top 15 pick. And then he tears his Achilles at the pro day. I still don't think that matters, just because, we got the modern technology, all the doctors and everything like that. I just don't think he was going to play his rookie season that much anyway, just with how raw he was. And then Tariq Woolen being the former wide receiver, he's turned into a really, really good corner, but he still has a lot to learn. So I don't think we're going to see him a whole lot, but I do think that both those guys have the potential where you can take a shot on them in the first round, no problem. Now, if I'm going to talk about a couple guys that haven't been discussed, I'm going to talk about Montana State linebacker Troy Anderson, who I've heard from a couple guys that he's their linebacker too on some boards. So you could see him go ahead of Nakobe Dean potentially. And if Nakobe Dean is taken, let's say 21 to the Patriots, and you look at the Titans or the Lions or the Bengals that need a linebacker, I think Troy Anderson is someone that could fit in nicely. He's a big guy. He plays really physical, a former quarterback. And he's just, I love what I see out of the film there. Obviously, the question is going to be, going from the FCS to the NFL. But you saw what he could do at the Senior Bowl. I thought he performed really well. Now you look at a guy, someone that's not being talked about a whole lot. I think he's starting to gain a little bit of steam. But I like Nick Cross out of Maryland, the safety, a big guy. I think he's like 6'6", somewhere around there, about 212. Physical guy. I like what he does at the safety position. He's got some versatility, whether it's in coverage or run support. So I like him to potentially sneak up. Rick said Jalen Petrie, so I had to pick a different safety that I like a lot. So Nick Cross is going to be a very interesting one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, let's let Lorenz ask the boss man a question. What you got,
Rick? So just during all this Giants talk, right? Joe Schoen wants to trade everybody. Joe Schoen and the head coach, Brian Daboll, are coming from the Bills, right? They took a gamble in that organization on Josh Allen. Brian Daboll helped develop him. Joe Schoen doesn't seem to be in on Daniel Jones at the moment. Is there a shot that the Giants go quarterback at number 5?
No, and I tell this story, going out to the combine, because United is always Terminal C, flying out normally for most major cities. However, when you fly to Indy, it's Terminal A. And so I go to the Newark airport. Kenny Pickett's a Jersey Shore guy just like me. And so there's a handful, I'm not the only jerky that gets off at the wrong terminal. Oh, by the way, so does Kenny Pickett, and so by the way, so does a New York Giants scout. So all three of us went to the wrong terminal. We had to take the shuttle bus from Terminal C to Terminal A. Here I am, buckled up, 5, 6 in the morning, hoodie, no logo, paraphernalia, nothing. They don't know me from a hole in the wall. I'm in the front seat with my hoodie up, man. And here's Kenny Pickett and the Giants scout. I'm listening the whole ride. Giants scout basically said, Kenny, man, we love your game. Nice career, this and that. We're not taking a quarterback this year. So, yeah, I can tell you the Giants on that.
I'm so happy I asked this now. This is the insight we only get on here. I mean, there you go.
News right here on the NFL Draft Bible, behind the scenes. You only get that here, y'all. You're not going to get this on ESPN or Fox or, this is something that you got, from us right now. So, man, this is pretty awesome.
It's interesting the stories you hear at airports. I mean, I speak from experience. When I flew from LA to Mobile, there were a couple of guys that were training out in LA on my plane, and we kind of had to look had to look for the gate together. And if I was a scout in that environment, there were a couple of the players mentioned. Greg Jr. out of Ouachita Baptist, who we'll talk about on the Day 3 show, Big Law, who really I'd bump him up based on his ability to navigate the Dallas Fort Worth airport, because I wouldn't have found the gate without him. I mean, it was impressive. Shout out Greg Jr.
Very cool, very cool. And you made a statement about Ojabo. You guys were talking about how modern medicine has turned ACLs in just merely 6 to 8 weeks of an injury. Similar, I think the one who broke that mold was Adrian Peterson. When Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, well, look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was back in 8 months to start the last season.
That's right. That's exactly right. And Adrian Peterson is snatching that leg out of tackles, and running 60 yards for a touchdown, if you guys remember that. And also Jameson Williams, out of Alabama. He looks good as well. So towards ACL on Thanksgiving, and now it looks like he's possibly could be ready to work out at camp, maybe non-contact, but
George Pickens too.
Hey,
there you go.
And Big Law, I know you remember Stephen Davis down there in the DC area, the first man to come back from 2 torn ACLs. How about that guy?
Right.
Remember that? Yeah.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I can tell you, it's a modern medicine, man, that it's always progressing. So let's go to the other side of that question. Let's ask, a surprise first round bust. And I'm going to give it to you first, Zach. Like, give me like 1 or 2. We're getting into overtime a little bit. We got 43 minutes until or after the hour. So give me surprise first round bust.
Surprise first round bust, man. I don't like talking bad about these guys. If I'm gonna have to pick a bust, just because, man, I like this player a lot, but I do see some if he's taken in the first round, I do see him struggling a little bit. Oh man, I don't know if I want to say it because I like this guy a lot. Treylon Burks, I think, is going to struggle a little bit to start his career. Could be labeled as a first round bust. I do see some deficiencies with his game. I think he's a solid, versatile player that can play inside, play outside. Has some good hands to him and everything like that. But I just don't know if he's going to fully translate to the next level. Everyone was thinking he's going to run this 4.3. I knew he was going to run like a 4.6. I wasn't shocking to me, so it didn't really push him down my board. It kept him right at that wide receiver, 4 or 5 range. I think is where I have him now. So if I had to pick one, I think I might just throw him on there just because I have seen him mocked as high as 12 to the Vikings or somewhere around that 10 range, where I just don't. I think that's too high if you ask me. I think he's more of a mid round 2 player, but a good player. I like him, but I just don't know if he's going to hit that. Everyone's talking about the next Deebo Samuel. That just screams bust to me. Like you're not gonna. You can't be comparing these guys to these elite guys right off the bat. I see Treylon Burks like a how do I want to put it? Like maybe like a mini DK Metcalf. A really good bigger guy with some but a little bit more versatility. So this first one that came to mind was DK Metcalf, but more of a lighter version of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you say mini DK, but that's still a very large human.
Good play. Okay, no. Let's put it. Okay, here I changed my mind. It's more of a like a mini Mike Williams. Remember Mike Williams coming into the league? He struggled a little bit to start his career. So now he's starting to come into his own and everything like that. You know, people started labeling Mike Williams as a bust. You know, he was drafted. You know, he was drafted the Chargers at what was it, like pick 13 or something like that. You know, he was somewhere around that range. And so he struggled to start his career. I could see Treylon Burks, you know, if he gets drafted high in the first round, potentially, you know, struggling. I hope not. I like the player. I think he's a solid player, but I could see him struggling to start his career.
Let me come to you, Lorenz. Someone who may struggle. That's a projected first round pick.
Big Law, looking at the 21 players that got invited to the NFL draft to be there in person, I'm really worried about Matt Corral's, the quarterback out of Ole Miss, about his NFL future. He is someone who I think his game in college and Lane Kiffin's offense, where he was able to operate with RPOs, run pass options a lot, it's just going to be really, really difficult to translate. I think he's slim built. He's already coming off an injury. I think he's the type of guy that might be a little bit polarizing as a person, where he rubbed some people the wrong way. Other people might have loved interviewing him. I'm not even sure he comes off the board tonight, but just him being there, I think he and his team think there's a good chance he gets drafted. So we'll see. I'm actually, personally, I have a 4th round grade on him. I don't have all the I don't have all the resources that NFL teams have, obviously, but he's someone to just keep an eye on. He could pay off, but there are a lot of ifs and there are a lot of question marks about his NFL transition. So yeah, I'm worried about him, and if you know, it's tough. I obviously hope he succeeds, but it's just really tough to come from that type of an offense and to look at what he did when he was asked to make NFL type decisions, which wasn't a lot. I thought he really struggled. So it's going to be really interesting to see if one of these teams can look past all that, had a good interview with him, and has done all their background. Obviously feels good about him being a franchise quarterback. So let's see if he comes off the board tonight or not.
Well, I'm going to ask you too, Rick. Someone who may struggle, who's a projected first round pick.
I'll take it to the top, and I apologize in advance, Mr. Trayvon Walker, because I'm sorry. Jack of all trades, master of none. What is it that this is so dominant at? Like, the Jacksonville Jaguars might take him number 1 overall, but at what position? Defensive end as an edge rusher? I mean, I get it. I get the sex appeal. I get the allure. The same thing, you know, this guy was a mid to late round pick, blows up the combine. Oh, my God, look at those traits. We got to take him in the first round. Well, you know, to me, I get it. You know, he's got this incredible knockback. He'll put you through the spinorama and leave you in the dust. He'll track you down. He'll chase down a wide receiver 50 yards across the field. I understand all that, but it's kind of like Isaiah Simmons. We were all enamored with Isaiah Simmons coming out of the draft, but if you don't have a really efficient way to use this guy, and you have all this pressure now being the number 1 overall selection, if you don't produce, I mean, this pick is going to be questioned for years to come. It's going to cost people their jobs. And to me personally, if I'm choosing Trayvon Walker, I'd like to bulk him up, kick him inside, and bring some interior rush up the middle. And to me, that is the best way to implement Trayvon Walker. To me, I want to bulk him up, keep some of that explosion, kick him inside, play a little NASCAR. That's the best situation for Trayvon Walker to succeed at the next level. So for me, number 1 overall, are you crazy? Where's Crazy Eddie when you need him? I got the deal for you. It's insane.
So you're thinking like 34 DN type thing.
Yeah,
not necessarily. You can, but you know, I think you know, I don't know where I love him. I love him in the interior more than the exterior. So
yeah, I mean, I can see a 3 technique kind of a player. You know, a penetrator, put some meat on him, and just let him be a disruptor. You know, that's exactly what I kind of see him as moving forward. So I'm gonna come right back to you here. We're in our 2-minute warning, Rick, and I'll put you on the spot here, my man. Top 5 picks prediction tonight.
Man, that's so easy. I've done this so many times today. Yeah, 1 is gonna be Trayvon Walker, and you know, it's unfortunate, but that's what it's gonna come down to. And you know, I still believe Aiden Hutchinson is gonna go 2. I think You know, Sauce Gardner is also a Detroit native, and I think there's a dark horse chance Sauce slides up to number 2, but I think it's Walker 1, Aiden Hutchinson 2. I feel really good about Derek Stingley now being number 3, and I think Kayvon Thibodeau is too good to pass up for the Jets at 4. The Giants get their guy with Charles Cross at 5, which means Evan Neal would land to the Panthers at 6. And the Giants would get their guy with Sauce Gardner at 7. So I gave you 2 bonus picks.
I appreciate that. Let me come to you, Zach. Give me your quick top 5.
This dude stole my top 5. Outside of the 5th pick, man, I got Evan Neal for my 5th pick. But I got Trayvon Walker, I got Aiden Hutchinson, I got Derek Stingley. I feel pretty good about those 3 picks. Now you get to 4. I'll switch it up and I'll say Ike Ekwonu. I think with the situation with Mekhi Becton, I know they're talking about extending George Fant. Now you're talking about maybe kicking Ekwonu inside. You know, do you pick that guy too high? Is that too high for someone you're going to kick inside? Probably, but it's more of a potential luxury of having him being able to kick back outside if, say, you want to move on from Mekhi Becton. So I'll switch it up and say Ike Ekwonu, and then I'll say Evan Neal to the Giants.
And now let me come to you, Top Scout, man. Your top 5.
All right, putting me on the spot here, going third. I want to repeat these guys, so let me mix it up a little bit. Trayvon Walker at number 1, I can move off of, but at number 2, I think Kayvon Thibodeau. Think back last year. Penei Sewell, he had all the talent in the world, out of Oregon, had all this talk about him that there were concerns, off-the-field concerns. The Lions and Brad Holmes, they took him, right? Same chatter this year about Kayvon Thibodeau at number 2. Just watch it. I think there's a world in which it can happen. Number 3, the Houston Texans, I think they're going to take Ikem Ekwonu, not the corner. I don't understand taking a corner in that defensive scheme that they've now committed to. So I think they go the offensive lineman. Then number 4, the New York Jets, they suddenly have Aiden Hutchinson fall into their lap. I think it's a no-brainer at that point. And then number 5, the Giants, I'm going to stick with Rick's pick. I think they like Charles Cross. So mixing it up a little bit, I think it just shows there's a lot of different outcomes and a lot of different eventualities for tonight.
Wow, listen to that, guys. Everybody dropping jewels out here on the NFL Draft Bible pre-draft show. And I can tell you, we're getting close to the big event starting. And I can tell you, got some quick parting shots. Let me come to you, Zach. What do you want to close out and say here?
Hey, man, just another big thank you to the RIC over there, the big boss, man. I appreciate him let me tag along and do my thing over here. So I'm excited for another year of draft coverage. We were out in Cleveland last year. We're out here in Minnesota now doing it this year. I'm just happy to be able to do this on a big platform like the NFL Draft Bible, brother. And it's all for you. It's all because of you, man. I appreciate you.
And I'm telling you, I gotta second that. I said I really appreciate him bringing me on and letting me be a part of it. I think it's our 3rd draft together, you know, because if you remember, I still got it. Hey. Now let me come to you, Lorenz. What is your parting shot?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited. I could follow what Zach was saying. Looking where I was at last year in the football world, where I'm now, just going back a year, you know, I'm really excited about all the opportunities that I've gotten through Zach, through Rick, through all you guys. Love talking ball with you, and I'm just really excited to see how it shapes up tonight. Go keep an eye out for the NFL Draft Bible Twitter as well. I'm going to be doing a takeover there. You'll get all the info on the picks, all the scouting reports, and the scouting team. I know from experience, all the guys they worked their tails off this year. I'm really proud of the reports, of the number of reports that we have, and of the in-depth nature of it. And yeah, it all comes down to this tonight. So give it a read. And yeah, just stick with us over here at the NFL Draft Bible through 3 days. I don't think anyone's going to be doing this coverage any better than we do when it comes to real football talk.
That's it. We love you guys. And I can tell you, make sure you check us out tomorrow. I believe we're going on at 7, right, Zach? 6. We're going on at 6. And I can tell you, make sure you check us out then, because tomorrow is going to be the hell day, because you're going to have all the picks that went on today, and then you're going to have a whole draft to talk about, 2 rounds, and then you got the entire draft for Saturday. So tomorrow's the real big day. that you need to check us out, because you're going to get all kinds of information, and you'll see some of the directions that teams are trying to move, after tonight. But as always, we're here to entertain you and educate you. All right. Now go get your chips, go get your wings, go get your sub, your hoagie, whatever you're going to get, and get settled, your favorite beverage of choice. Okay? Get it going, because the NFL draft is getting ready to go down, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I appreciate you guys. We love you viewers and listeners. Let's get it going. This is our time. And we love you. This has been the NFL Draft Bible 2022 show, powered by Sports Illustrated. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.